Is it even possible with an uncountable host of messengers surrounding his throne, worshiping and singing and adoring him, with the two seraphim that Isaiah saw, crying out, Kadosh, 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 constantly to him? That Yahweh, in spite of all of this host around him, could it be that he misses us? And in that regard, could be described as lonely. This Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, Day 1 of special readings pertaining to Pesach and Hag Matzot, Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Today we're in Leviticus, Vayikra, chapter number 23. And there is a verse down in verse 37 I find interesting today. These are the appointed times of Yahweh, which you proclaim as a set-apart gathering, to proclaim an offering made by fire to Yahweh, an ascending offering, and a grain offering, a slaughtering and drink offering, as commanded for every day, besides the Shabbats of Yahweh, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and besides all your voluntary offerings which you give to Yahweh. HaMoedim, the Feast of Yah. This one particular topic seems to be the most intriguing and desired to understand of all that is in the Torah among those who are yet not introduced to the full scope of Torah. They may approach you and say something along the lines of, I've been reading in the Bible about the holidays, the feast days of the Jews, and wondering why we don't celebrate them or no one ever tells us about them. Well, more perfectly, and most of us understand this, it's not the feast of the Jews. Yah says these are his feasts. It is the Jews, however, our Jewish brother Yehuda, who has through the centuries been the one faithful to retain knowledge of these days and to celebrate them, to keep the traditions alive, whether you adopt their traditions or not. And without their keeping, safekeeping, guarding, being shomer over them, we wouldn't have them. No one would know what they are. And so Yah has entrusted to his people these particular feast days, these festivals. And in very simplistic terms, what we understand is that Yah is saying, come, feast, party, celebrate, and rejoice with me. At some point in our lives, I'm sure that we've all had that occasion, a birthday party or some sort of celebration, maybe in your childhood, maybe not even until your adulthood, that was especially meaningful for you. Perhaps it was a surprise gathering party for you. One of those moments that you look back and it just brings a chuckle and a smile because the important people in your life were there. People said things that were encouraging to you. Gifts were offered. It was just a special event. Can you imagine never having one of those? And maybe there's someone in the audience here today that's never been an occurrence for you. And so I'm very sorry. But most of us perhaps have some memory, or at least have an understanding of what that would be like if it were all that we wanted it to be. Okay, that understood. Yah has instituted these festivals and feast days, not just here in the book of Leviticus. Matter of fact, if you go all the way back to the creation of time itself, and that is on the fourth day in the book of Bereshit or Genesis. And verse number 14, it says, And Elohim said, Let lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, And let them be for signs, here we go, and appointed times, festivals, Moedim, and for days and years. And so it is the movement of the planetary bodies. It is the recognition of seasons as they change, the keeping of days, and understanding where we are and the calendar of things. And I know the calendar is a very touchy subject for many, and calendar observances are all over the map. But the attempt, at least, to calculate, to count days, to focus on that, leading up then to Pesach or Passover, and eating matzah for the next week. Observing the first fruits, the Habikarim, recognizing the resurrection of Yeshua from the dead, and then starting to count after that day, 50 days, 7 Shabbats, the word says, where we start counting day after day after day, what's referred to as counting the Omer. And while most of us have no clue what an Omer is, we understand you start counting days and you start putting red X's on your calendar and you're checking them off, anticipating Shavuot, what was being celebrated in Acts chapter 2, what the King James says is the Feast of Pentecost, the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, what most do not understand as they celebrate Pentecost Sunday, perhaps, is the self-same day that the Torah was given at Mount Sinai, all the way back in Shemot or Exodus chapter number 19. So there is a counting, a looking forward, an anticipation of. Can you imagine, as a child, your birthday's coming up and you've been wanting a special gift and there's been hints that you've strongly laid down and just kind of smiles by the parents, and maybe you're anticipating maybe this year they'll be able to afford to get me what I have really been yearning for. Not being able to wait hardly until the day arrives. Is it possible that Yah likewise looks forward, even though time in the heavenlies is timeless? There's no clocks or stopwatches or wristwatches in the heavenlies. Time is eternal, eternally present. But here in this physical realm where time and space rules our lives, we wait and we anticipate. House of David just completed, at the time of this recording, our Pesach Seder a couple of nights ago. And it was a beautiful experience, a room full of people, great food. The Seder experience was wonderful. The celebration, the dance, the worship, the people, the fellowship. And it was something that we've been looking forward to for a long time. And it was well planned. It was well executed. A lot of hands and help. And I have to believe that Yah smiled. Now, is it perfect? No, obviously not. We're human beings and we got involved. But we set our heart to something. And we pursued it. And the goal was not just to get dressed up and have fancy table decorations. The goal was to meet him, to have Yeshua, his presence, swept into the room, and he be honored and glorified. After all, it's very possible that he's been waiting for these events as well. If something is not special to me, and you're wanting it to be special to me, and I make nothing special about it, it's a disappointment. But that's not the case with our Messiah. This is special to him. These days are set apart to him. And I believe that he looks forward to celebrating with us, maybe in calling it a party with us, a special event. May it have a special impact upon you for the rest of the week as we study these things. Until tomorrow, shalom.